Now is the moment when we can stand up and say, I'm an American. I make my destiny. We deserve better. My children deserve better. My family deserves better. My country deserves better.
Well, last night, Mitt Romney got his first chance to speak as the official Republican presidential nominee. Romney spoke about his Mormon faith and used the opportunity to show people a more personal side. Republicans hope that the Romney-Ryan ticket will electrify GOP voters and convince undecided voters to side with Romney. Political analyst John Dadian joining us here this morning to kind of just step back, take a look at this, and kind of see how it's being received this morning.
Yeah, so just weigh in. Your initial thoughts after seeing the speech last night.
Great. He literally did what he needed to do. The first thing is, he didn't make any mistakes. That's always the first criteria.
It was flawless, yeah.
But then he stuck to message, and he laid out a plan, and then he did a concluding statement that backed up everything he said. Those are the steps to a good speech, and he hit it right on the head.
Now, one of the things you had mentioned earlier was the sideshow, sort of, in Clint Eastwood and his speech, which some thought was very amusing, and others thought it was strange. But that seems to be making headlines this morning more than Mitt Romney's speech.
And that's the shame, and that's what anything that overshadows what's supposed to be the main message. I just know, I haven't talked with anybody this morning, but I just know the Romney hates were back in the wings just cringing. Plus, it went over schedule.
Isn't it interesting, though, that the only reason people would be maybe talking about that more than the speech by Mr. Romney is if the media decides to play that clip of Clint Eastwood over and over and over again, instead of focusing on Mr. Romney's speech. So, I mean, people have to make that decision up and down the line as to how much that information is repeated.
I think that's part of it, Mark, but to be honest with you, Twitter's all abuzz this morning.
See, that's,
yeah, it was.
That's what I'm asking is, what are the people really talking about?
They are talking about Clint Eastwood. I mean, it was everything. I mean, let's be honest, it's a great American icon, but he's in his 80s now. You know, he did go off script from all the reports that we had.
And that was the interesting part, is he was clearly off script. He at times could not even put a thought together, and then stumbling over what he was saying. But look at, here the three of us are talking about Clint Eastwood more than Mitt Romney.
Right.
So let me change gears on you real quick. Mitt Romney's wife, Ann, earlier in the week, did she hit all the points that people were hoping to hear from her and maybe sway the female vote, which was what the goal clearly was?
Not only a home run, but a grand slam. She really hit it out of the ballpark. And again, this was so well choreographed, although she did a great job. It was in components with everything else, such as Condoleezza Rice, the Hispanic governor of New Mexico. This very subtle, we do support women's rights theme really played very well, and it went as smooth as it could have gone.
Well, let's talk about who is actually watching the convention and whether or not these speeches do influence people one way or the other, because I'm assuming that the vast majority of people that are watching have already made up their mind. I mean, all the polls tell us that. And then there's this huge number of people that are watching Honey Boo Boo and that dorky little kid.
I heard that was higher ratings.
Instead of the convention. So, I mean, how effective are these speeches at the convention for actually swaying the undecided vote?
It could be very effective because, as I've said on this set many times, what realistically we're talking about is between 9 and 11 swing states that there are a lot of undecided, et cetera. And so if those people are getting the message, those are the really don't care if the Californians are watching it last night. I don't think California's going to go for Romney.
No?
I don't think so.
Let me also ask you about Hollywood's influence during not only the Republican National Convention, but we understand that Eva Longoria, the actress, may make an appearance during the Democratic National Convention. Are people that easily swayed by Hollywood still, or is that something that was really prominent during the 2008 election with President Obama being elected, and maybe we won't see that as heavily this time?
I think you'll see it as heavily this time for no other reason that there's so much on the line, in the sense that people are predicting that this is going to be such a close race. And Eva certainly has always been a huge Obama supporter. What I like about her as an actress, very liberal, but what I like about her is that she actually puts in a lot of time. She actually does the work. She's been out for a lot of candidates, especially Obama.
But who cares what an actor or an actress has to say in the end anyway, honestly?
I'll give you an answer, a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that kind of tragic? I mean, in the end, if you break that down, I mean, these are people that pretend for a living, they make films. Why is their opinion any more or less important than anybody else's that could get up there and speak in front of a convention?
You've heard me several times quote Abraham Lincoln, the American people get the amount of government they deserve. And that's good, bad, or ugly. You know, that's the way our system is. I mean, look, they're talking about a big story I heard this morning is Jersey Shore, which I've never watched even one episode, but it's a big thing that's going to be their last season. People are more concerned with that than they are our foreign policy.
We just have a few more seconds here, but your last thoughts on everything that we saw over the last week of the Republican National Convention, and then what we should expect going into the DNC.
That's what you really want to watch is whether or not, and we still haven't gotten reports yet, whether or not there's going to be a good bump from the Republican convention and whether or not that can overshadow Democrats. I think there's a chance it could because we know what to expect from the Democrats since it's a re-election of an incumbent. This one you weren't sure Eastwood was going to be there, what Romney was going to say. So I think this bump is really going to carry him. And, of course, we got Labor Day next week, so we're off and running.
But we haven't been getting a lot of these bumps out of the conventions. They haven't been as big in recent conventions. So I guess we're going to have to just see how this one turns out.
Last thought I'll have is Mitt Romney's criticized for being a little too staid. He's a lot more exciting than John McCain.
And yet he did invite John McCain to speak at the convention.
Very smart.
Very smart move. Yeah, exactly.
All right, political
Thank you,
analyst
John
John Dadian, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.